DeMeco, getting ready for this Cowboys team, is it basically the same as last year?
Yeah, they do a lot of similar things than they did, the same things they did last year. So it is similar in that thing, but it's also different in that it's a new year, it's a new time, new team, new people, right? So it is different with the preparations as opposed to, how are we going to attack them? We have to see how they're coming out versus us and their plan. So it's always different. Each opponent, no matter how many times you play them or when you play them, it's always a little different.
When you look at them on film, what distinguishes what they do offensively and the challenges they present as opposed to other teams you might face?
The first thing with Dallas is the run game. With their offensive line, they do a really good job of blocking up front, and the run game is really where they start. I think Pollard is a very, very explosive, dynamic back who can finish. Home run speed. Zeke is still playing well, physical runner. So we have to do a really good job of stopping the run. And Dak is playing at a high level. He's done a really good job Monday night of making plays, putting his team in position to win the game, keeping plays alive. So he's done a really good job there of leading that unit. And they're clicking right now, right? Their playmakers are making plays for them. Their defense, they're playing really good ball on defense. They're creating turnovers, which is what you need to do to play great defense. So all around, this is a really, really good team we're playing, a really tough challenge for us.
Have you played a team with this kind of offensive skill and ability, like, say, since Kansas City?
We have some few matchups of, each team poses different threats. These guys they have threats at the wide receiver level, the running back level, so all skill positions. The tight end, Schultz, he's playing really well, right? Makes a lot of plays down the seam. So all around, they have playmakers. His team is very talented at all levels, so it'll be a really nice matchup for us.
You watch Fred Warner on game days and pregame, warm-ups, halftime. He's constantly encouraging people. He's the energy guy. Is that what you did when you were a middle linebacker? Is that a middle linebacker thing, or is that unique to Fred Warner?
Depends on the guy, first and foremost. I was similar to that, and breaking the team down in the huddles, right, making sure the guys were upbeat and into it, really motivating the guys. That's how I did it when I was a middle linebacker. And Fred, he does it in his own way. But love the energy, love the leadership that Fred provides for our team, not only for the defense. He's just an outstanding guy, outstanding player. Right, and he does an outstanding job of motivating the guys and making sure they're locked in, not just on game day. That's what sets him apart. Like Fred is the same way throughout the week. So it's not just on game day for the cameras. He is who he is. He's been consistent, right, for us, consistent leader, steady in his preparation, steady in his performance as well.
Nick Bosa had such an amazing year. Last 3 games, though, only 1 sack, which is not really Bosa-like. What are you seeing from him lately? Are there things you can do to sort of free him up?
Bosa is Bosa. Nothing's changed. Bosa is Bosa. He's still a game wrecker for us. So we're anticipating that he can be there for us on Sunday.
I know you don't want to belabor your head coaching interviews, but how are those conducted? Is that remotely? Do the teams come out this way? How does that go?
Yeah, those all get handled. They're all different. Some are Zoom, some are in person, so those all get handled differently.
I think Pat was asking, is today, what is it?
Excuse me?
You have an interview today with the
Yes, I do.
And is that going to be virtual?
Yeah,
or is that
that'll
gonna
be in person. Yeah.
That's good. What are the? I know you're very tight with Rand Carthon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What are the Tennessee Titans doing with him as a GM?
Oh, I think with Rand, right, the Titans are getting just a dynamic leader. That's what Rand is. Rand has been a fantastic leader since the first day I met him here. Very knowledgeable of personnel, college and the pro side. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very well connected, knows a lot of people, knows a lot about football. Right, seen it from a lot of different perspectives with his father being a coach, him being a former player in the NFL as well. So he's seen it on all facets, and he's done a really good job of just scouting, right, really good talent and really helping us to acquire some really good talent here. So I wish Rand nothing but the best. I know he'll do a fantastic job in Tennessee, and I'm couldn't be more proud for Rand and the work that he's done, and to see him, get the GM job there. It's really really cool to see, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him.
What is the big picture of what the 49ers have done as far as developing head coaching candidates and also GM candidates?
It's just here is just an outstanding organization from top down. Just how things here are done first class. Right, John and Kyle have done an outstanding job of just bringing in the right people, and when you have everybody that comes here, right, everybody's opinion matters, right? Everybody feels like they're a part of what we're doing here, and I think it's the reason why the organization's been so successful, right? It's just built with the right people in mind. You have good people, you can do really good things, and that's what we've done here.
Is there a player, a free agent that you guys have brought in recent years that you remember, working with Rand particularly closely with to kind of bring that player in?
Not right off the bat. I do not. Wish I had one for you. We've talked about a ton of players, whether it's college, pro. So we're always talking about players and this type of player that we're looking for. So
Kind of a broad question, but Kyle gets so much publicity for being a play caller and a play designer. But, beyond that just calling of the play, you've got to be able to teach 11 guys to execute a play and do it during a compacted week. Is there anything you can relay to why he's good at that? Why do the 49ers seem so good at that one particular thing?
well, Kyle is really good at that because of it's the mindset and his approach. He's very detailed in everything that he does. That's why our offense, it's always clicking. It's not just putting in plays just to put them in. It's well thought out. It's well thought out. It's well schemed, and everything about it, from the finest detail to, the motions, the hat placement of the offensive lineman, hat placement of the tight ends when they are blocking, receivers, their track when they're blocked. Everything is well thought out, and that's why he's one of the best play callers in the league. He's not just copying plays from other people, right? He has that very creative mind, and he's always putting his players in position to make plays, and that's what sets him apart from all the other coordinators in the league.
You strike me as a guy who does time management pretty well, so I'm wondering if that's being put to the test ultimately this week with balancing these responsibilities and the other teams that are interested in you.
Yeah, with everything that you do as a coach, it's a lot of you're trying to crunch a lot of things in. You're trying to really dissect a lot of information in a certain manner of time. So time management is a very crucial thing to have. And I know how to make the main thing, and the main thing this week is the Cowboys.
Guys on the 49ers offense, they scored 41 points last week, and they see things that they can get better at. How's your focus this week as far as that goes on the defensive side? That do you have a laundry list of things that you presented to your players of this can be tightened up even better? For sure, we're always trying to get better, and that's one thing that's really cool about our defense. Like, nobody's just resting on what they've done, or nobody's just satisfied with what we've done. Like, I didn't like the way we came out last week, right? That wasn't representative of who we are. So we can come out better to start the game. We can set the tempo better. We can play with better pad leverage on defense. We can get off of blocks better. We can finish better. So there are always things that we're pushing our guys to be better at. We're not satisfied, right? How can we play our absolute best at the time we need it most? And there's no better time than right now. Playoffs, Cowboys, Niners, our defense has to play their absolute best if we want to move forward. All right. Thank you, guys. Are there similarities to the team you faced in training camp every day in practice as far as the aggressiveness of that defensive line?
Yeah, very similar. They play very, very hard. They're very quick, like our defensive line is. They're very physical. They've got good edge rushers. They've got good interior players. They're very well coached. They have good scheme. It's Dallas is a very, very good football team, very well coached and talented front group of guys to deal with, and they've been a challenge for everybody all season, and they'll be a challenge for us for sure on Sunday.
What stands out about Micah Parsons?
Oh, great athlete. I mean, he's just those guys. There's these guys that when you go to block them, Myles Garrett's another one that comes to mind. Even 90 on their team's the same way, but they're coming at you, and the next thing you know, they make one move and they move further from, like when they go inside, they go from here to way over there a lot faster. They move, 2-3 yards at a time. When they just sidestep and swipe you, they're just gone. And some guys do the same move and they kind of go like me. I'd go from right here to right here and somebody'd still be blocking me. But when it's them, it's bam, and both are there. And you think you have them, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And that's what it is. He's got this great elusiveness. He still has some power with it. What he's really good at, too, is when he gets into your body, for a guy that isn't a real big and physical player, not that he's overly powerful to push, although he can do it, he's really good when he gets into your body getting off a block. They don't stay blocked. I'd say that's the biggest thing you can say about all of them. They don't stay blocked.
When you guys run out the 21 personnel with your 5 main skill guys as you use that, you have a lot of success. I'm wondering, with the amount of guys who kind of are, can move around and play different positions, what is it like for you guys just designing things and kind of, creating offense with those options?
Well, I think that Kyle and Bobby Slowick and all the guys that work with the skill players, they do a great job of interchanging people. I'm a little more, maybe with the fullback and the tight ends, I'll have a little bit of input with that. But we don't need too many cooks in the kitchen. We got a lot of guys to use those guys a lot of different ways, and Kyle's outstanding with his creativity in that way. And there's just a lot of different people we can deploy and do different things. I mean, you think about, I just love, and it was a couple years ago when Kyle and Mike came up with this series where Debo's running the sweep, the one that Ray scored a few weeks ago against Washington. And Christian McCaffrey's like a lead blocker. And we did it with Raheem, we did it with Jeff, we took, everybody did it. We had receivers doing it when we'd play the Rams a couple years ago as well, where it's just all these guys, we just have these guys are just football players, Yes, they're a halfback, yes, they're a fullback, yes, they're a receiver, but they're football players, and they all do what football players do. They run, they catch, they block, they do a lot of different things. We're real fortunate in that way.
That seems like something that requires a lot of buy-in and teaching, and that's been talked about in the past, that you guys do a really good job of showing on tape why receivers and running backs have to block. What do you enjoy about that process of being able to show guys and then seeing that translate on the field?
Oh man, it's when I took the job in Washington in 2010 with Coach Shanahan, on Fridays they said you're in charge of this run meeting that they'd run in Denver for years that Alex Gibbs had run. And it was Alex's chance to kind of make everybody accountable to the running game, from the quarterback to the receivers to the running backs, tight ends, and everybody. And Alex kind of ran the show there. And so it was my turn to do it. And, it took me a while to learn exactly what they wanted me to do. But as we learned to do it, it was so enjoyable to say, hey, a receiver didn't do a good job on this play. Instead of just ripping Santana Moss or whoever the receiver might be at that point, it was more of let me show 3 good clips of Santana doing something during the week or during the week before his game, and then building upon that and say, now when we do this, how it all ties together, how every single person from the angle of running back to how the receivers block to the linemen, and they can see it and they get a vision for it, and they all start to buy into their little piece is why we can have success doing stuff. And it's crazy. It's so much fun to watch the buy-in because it all kind of fits together like a puzzle when it's right. And you've seen, you guys see some of the plays. We're fortunate, again, Dallas could come in here and they're going to get after our butts, and we'll be lucky to get back to line of scrimmage in some way. But I'll tell you what, right now, when you see one like the one that went the other day with Christian for 60-something yards, I mean, it's just cool. It's really cool. When everybody buys in and does what they're supposed to do, sometimes you hit it right. Might have been a bust on their part. It doesn't matter. It still it shows up good. And then everybody says, hey, look, if I do my part, it's not just that. It's a big play. Keeps us on the field, gives everybody a chance, gives a receiver a chance to catch another pass, a runner back to get another run, whatever it is, it all ties together. It's a cool process.
You mentioned that meeting, the run accountability meeting in Washington. Do you have something similar here?
Yeah, so what happened was when I was in Washington, they gave it to me, and I put my spin on it. When Kyle went to Cleveland, he took the meeting over, and he's been doing it since then. I think he did it in Cleveland. I think he did it in Atlanta, and he's doing it now. And when I did the meeting, too, they'd always come to me and say, hey, we love talking about the runs as much as you do, but, boy, it'd be really nice if you could tie in how the play action fits with this or how – and I could, but I'm like, we're about running the ball. We're about knocking the crap out of people and trying to get yards, So when Kyle took it over, it becomes more of a game plan meeting. Whereas on Fridays he's able to do that. When I worked with Kyle and he was the coordinator, Friday or Saturday night he did more of that meeting with the whole offense because he had the offensive meeting as the offensive coordinator. Now because now he's the head coach. He has other things to do on Saturday nights with the team. He's kind of that moving's kick to Fridays. So while it has a run emphasis some weeks, it's more of how the whole tie-in is and how our whole plan and approach is to attacking the team as opposed to just the run game.
Some of your players have talked about when when players are called out for doing something good, there is some light ribbing and joking and teasing. But when something goes wrong, they come together to really help that person get better. So what does that say about the chemistry that you guys have built up?
Yeah, our guys stick together real good. We got a good group of guys that hang together pretty tight. We're real fortunate right now, and yeah, I mean, obviously there is a lot of ribbing when you get called out good. It's you don't want to get called out good too much, and when it is bad, they do rally around each other. It's a good group. I think that as a lot of good teams that you're on, and we're in a good place in our season right now. But guys like working together to help each other get better. They all see the benefit. They've all pulled together to get this far in the season. So at this point, it doesn't benefit anybody to really be working independently or things like that. Everybody at this point just realizes that if we just keep building and working together, we can do something special.
How well do you know Dan Quinn, and how difficult is it to go against the Dan Quinn defense?
Yeah, I mean, we've been going against Dan personally, for a while, and I don't know him personally like Kyle obviously does because he worked with them, but they do a great job. All those guys that came from Pete, the Seattle system, they play hard, they're disciplined, they're in the right gaps, they know defense, they know how to stop offenses, they know what give you problems. They're just very well coached, and then they're fundamentally sound. That's the thing. I go way back to Tony Dungy, Monty Kiffin, those guys all had some tie-in with Pete, and then these guys, Dan Quinn and Gus Bradley and those guys, they all are just so fundamentally sound in what they do. And so they know how to stop the run, they know how to play good fundamentals with it, they know how to give you trouble. I mean, things that we saw Seattle do in the weeks previous and how they did us the first two times, they did it different. So there were adjustments during last week's game, all from the very first snap. It's like, oh, why is Al playing like this week? We thought he was going to be playing like that, and what we set up during the week had to change during the course of the game. And some of it we didn't adjust to very well. And they did a great job of coming up with a different way to try to keep us from doing what we want to do.
This one's going to be a little bit more zoomed out, but you've worked with Kyle in multiple spots now. I know that you're kind of zoomed in on the minutia right now in the middle of the playoff run, but he's on his third quarterback this year, putting up the offense is putting up some of its biggest numbers. What is it about Kyle and his system that has been able to kind of perpetuate success from QB to QB to QB to keep it this efficient?
Well, I credit to, you think about when he started coordinating back in Houston. I mean, he was a couple years, 1 or 2 years as a position coach. Next thing you know, he's calling plays. So that was pre-2010 when I met him. So it was a couple years. I don't remember his first year as a coordinator, but he's been calling plays since that time. So we're going on 12, 13, 14, 15 years where it's been his system, his plays, his verbiage, his terminology, and it's built from what he learned from his dad to what he learned from Gary in Houston, Gary Kubiak, and then what he's done since then, which has been outstanding. And so when you own it like that, you can plug and play. You can see where things that you have, things that you've done fit this skill set, or they fit that skill set. Or we had Pierre Garçon in this spot. He had Julio Jones in this spot. Now he has Debo in this. And what's the skill set of these players? When we had Robert Griffin, how we had to adapt to him and make it all work within our offense and still keep the basic tenets of this offense, but yet marry it to the zone read and things like that. So Kyle, to me, I mean, that's why I'll reference him in every time we talk here. I'll reference him because it's his deal, and yet he's managed to always understand. He has such a great grasp on it. I remember we put a play in this year, and it was like I wanted to name it a certain name, and I named it that, and we ran out of practice. He goes, "You can't name it this." I mean, why? Well, that's a formation. I said, Kyle, I haven't heard that formation in 2 years. Yeah, but it's in the book. It's the formation. We can't call it that. We got to change the name. I'm like, okay, it is a formation, and we hadn't used it in a while. And that's the kind of stuff that he has recall that goes back forever. And he's obviously very, very smart and has great recall. So there's just this whole encyclopedia, or this whatever you want to call it, just years and years of it. And that's why he's able to mix and match and understand how it all works. Because when you just have a complete knowledge, 3 of the big plays that we made, okay, the play to Kittle up the sideline against in Mexico that we've had against Arizona, the one Kittle against Washington, and the 75-yarder to Debo. None of those 3 plays were on the game plan. Not one of them. If you've seen the call sheet, right, you've seen it hold up. There's a lot of writing on that, right? He says, no, what they're doing, this is what we're going to call. And he calls something based on what he sees in the game that isn't even on the list. And they're usually big hits and big plays because he just knows what is going to work. And even though we made out a plan for you, like, oh, they're doing this week, so now we go to that. And it's forever. I've been amazed since I worked with him, and I don't stop doing that. It's just how he does it, and it's just his grasp on what he's doing.
I'm assuming that's extremely unique.
What's that?
To call that, sure, that's extremely unique to call a play that's not.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys can do it. I'm always marvel at him because of the timing of it, calling it. There's just a lot that goes into it. Obviously, you can say, hey, the corner is jumping the receiver, we're going to call a double move and throw a touchdown pass. Or there's certain things that everybody, and it happens a lot. It does happen a lot. He's just been on. He's really, really good at it. And when he does know, and as a result, you've heard us talk before. We've always gotten unscouted looks, things because they really don't want him to know what they're doing. Because if they do, he has a pretty good, grasp on what to go to in his offense and how to do it. So it's a real pleasure for a guy like me to work for him, because when you do that, he has such good direction on how he wants you to go. So whether you're a player, whether you're assistant coach, whoever you are, there's tremendous there's a great leadership or direction as here's what you have to do your job. Here's what I need you to do to make this thing work.
Does that encourage you and the other assistants to recommend stuff that's not in the game plan?
No, there's not too much of that. He's gonna. You don't have to. I'm telling you, there's plenty to call. He's just looking. Where's that dagger? Where's that play that I think will really get him on this one? And that's what he's sometimes looking up and doing that. Yeah, can you suggest some things that maybe aren't in there? There's been a couple of those through the year, but it's mostly coming from him.
A lot of offensive linemen in this league. What makes Trent Williams different than most, if not all?
Well, I remember when we drafted Trent in Washington in 2010, I'd coached Jonathan Ogden, who was a Hall of Fame player, Randall McDaniel was a Hall of Fame player, and a bunch of other Pro Bowl players through the course of my career. I've been real fortunate to work with some guys. And when he said, "Who do you compare Trent Williams to?" I said, "Nobody." And he said, "Why is that?" I said, "Well, there's nobody that was 6'4" or 5", whatever he is, 320 something pounds, vertical jump through the dome, ran a 40 like he did, all of the explosive movements that he had. I'd never seen a guy that big. I'd seen guys that were smaller have that explosiveness. I've seen guys that were bigger that were as smooth an athlete as he was. But the combination of strength, power, quickness, explosiveness, and then the thing about him, which I didn't know, was his wealth of knowledge, how he's such a good football mind. So those things all combined, wrapped up, make him into just a really special guy to coach. Thanks, guys.